It is day 4 working with the Mustangs, and it's a super windy day. We have our chicken back with us. Just got here and I'm all bundled up. And I wanted to just start out right away with a quick video because we made such amazing progress with John, especially yesterday, that I'm expecting, and I use that word lightly in this sense. I was going to say I'm expecting great things today, which does not mean I'll be disappointed if we even had a setback, because that often happens, that when you make a breakthrough, sometimes the next session is actually a step, what we might call backward. But it's just them testing the relationship to make sure it's solid and trustworthy. So when I say I'm expecting, it means I wouldn't be surprised because of the breakthrough we had yesterday, that I wanted to video right away to say, hey, let's start with our baseline. And with the possible, hopeful expectation that we're going to be able to pick up pretty close to where we left off with John. And I already, when I stepped out here without sitting in my chair, they looked a lot more happy to see me today. Not as much running away. When I first came in, they spotted my chair. I'm going to slowly turn this way so you can see. I'm usually sitting in it. So they saw my chair and they were very inquisitive about it, while I got Junior, who's over there in the round pen. I got his halter and took him out and went and got my bucket of hay. So they were just a lot calmer and watching me, and they looked expectant, like, oh, yay. What are you doing, John? John's smiling for the camera. They had the look that I'm hoping, like, I can never know exactly what they're thinking, right? Some people say horses don't think. What I say is horses feel, and that's really the highest form of thinking. They may not be thinking like we do, cause and effect, or forward thinking, cause and effect. They're certainly feeling in the moment how they feel and remembering connections and possible causes and effects from before. Like if they say, ooh, last time she was here was good. I felt really good. That to me is when I say a horse is thinking. That's what I mean. He's feeling those same feelings. So I don't think they think the same way we do in linear thoughts, like, okay, here she is, now I bet we're going to do this, but they feel. So my goal is to help these guys. Hi, sweetheart. And I'm really, hopefully you can see how careful I am with my language. I'm just as careful with my language as my actions. Instead of saying I want to make them feel a certain way. Do you notice how that word make brings with it this connotation of control and manipulation, coercion? And again, we said those things are all fear-based, power-based. And I want to be a benevolent leader. That was neat. Wray just walked a circle around me. I want them to see me as a benevolent leader. So the positive form of power, of strength, security, and that they can rely on me, that they're going to look to me and feel very, very safe. Safe is the key word. That in that sense, power is great. When power is used to control someone who's perceived as weaker, less important, not as capable, power is a really negative and unfortunate word. So I love that they seem relaxed. And I've just put this one little pile, because I reached out without sitting in my chair. I just reached out a handful to John. He was pretty close and seemed comfortable. And I thought, well, let me just give him an opportunity. Maybe he'll just walk right up and take it from my hand with me standing here rather than in the chair like I was yesterday. And he looked at me, but he was somewhat close. And as I took a step closer to him to see if he would want to reach out his nose, it scared him a little. He didn't run away, but he definitely moved away from me. So I just put some down, this little pile, and I stepped back. I'm about maybe 4 feet from the pile. And both the guys, Joel says I can call them whatever I want. He's so sweet. I was showing him this video last night, and he says, I don't want you to think that I'm coercing you to call them what you don't want to. And as a man, I appreciate his input. I don't think horses care if I call them boy, guy, man, but I do appreciate my husband's input, because that's what we hope to have from each other, is input that says, hey, this feels good to me and this doesn't feel good. So very, very, very side note there, but I think they're looking up to the house. I don't see anything up there, but I try to take notice. A lot of times, something we do when horses are afraid is we try to pull them away from what is scary. So 2 things let me just throw out as a suggestion before I turn this phone off and get to work here, so to speak. One is when a horse is afraid of something, this of course goes for a horse that's on a halter, not these guys, but I'll connect it there. We don't pull them towards it. So how that would fit with these guys is if they're worried about me coming close to them, I don't keep approaching them. And I've heard this said before, and I can't even remember who I got it from, but I love this. If you were asked to go on a first date, and as a woman, I'll say the guy asked you out on a date, and he said, what kind of food do you like? And you say, oh gosh, anything but Chinese. I like anything but Chinese food. And he takes you to Chinese food. You would be like, okay, I think that was my last date with this guy. It would at least make you say, what on earth was that about? So when a horse shows me they're afraid of something, I don't want to take them towards it, or with these guys, add more of what they don't like. The other thing I don't want to do is completely ignore it. So like when they looked up at the house, I turned and looked with them, and I said, oh yeah, let's look. And then as their benevolent leader, I went, yep, nothing's wrong, I'm back, I'm good. So the other day I was out here and a wild turkey came wandering by, and they heads up snorting, they went to the gate. Well, I walked right over there, I looked at that turkey, my head up, then I went, and I turned and I walked back to my chair. So I wanted to be like a horse in a pasture that said, oh yeah, I see it. If I don't acknowledge it, they're going to be fearful that I'm ignorant and they have to protect me. So I want to acknowledge. So how that goes with these guys, again, like the wild turkey works. But when I'm approaching them here, I'm not going to ignore when they're worried of me. I am going to acknowledge it by adjusting, and then continue to show that everything's fine with my body language. So literally, I breathe in and out slowly and deeply, and I will do a horse noise. I'll go, and I'll make a sound like I'm chewing. They just looked at me when I did that. They said, you're eating, we want to eat. I'm coming. So anyway, just some cool things to think about. And don't you think they look calm and peaceful? And I think they're kind of like, can we get on with the feeding game that we do every day? So I'm going to turn the phone off and spend a little time sharing space and sharing my food with my friends Wray and John. As Wray steps over here, he's checking out the pile. And I imagine here he'll ask in a second if he could have some more. That's really nice that he feels comfortable turning his head and scratching a scratch with me right here so close to him. And I do take note of those things if and when I get to be able to touch him places he likes to itch. I'm going to say when I get to touch him. It'll be a little while down the road before I can scratch all his itches. But I've noticed he likes to scratch his chest, and that was his side. So, all right, Wray, you want some food, buddy? We'll turn the camera off for now, and I'll be back.